So these are faux walnut, right? The table that I bought.
Yeah.
The reason why I bought it is they have two very similar side tables like this
Oh.
that completely match that for like $300.
Mm.
I didn't buy them because I just whatever. But so I thought, okay, that'll tie the rooms together with our old furniture, which again, homage. And that third chair is going to go in there next to the desk.
Cerebellum.
Yeah, dude. You can't steal my catchphrase. it's
Impressive.
Honestly...
Welcome back to the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. This is The Higher Standard. Sitting next to me on my left is my partner in crime, Christopher Nahibi.
We got to find a regular cadence for this.
That's what it is. It's every time. And every time I do it, you know what? It's throwing you off. It's me mentioning The Higher Standard because I caught myself on a couple episodes saying welcome back to the show and not mentioning the name of the show.
Sitting next to me, my partner in time, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Saied, everybody. King of the gooseneck.
Mr. Gooseneck.
Yeah.
And sitting behind the ones and twos, we have nobody. All right, listen, we got a heavy real estate show tonight. There's going to be some educational pieces. There's going to be some current event pieces. And we're going to get a lot of Chris's takes on what's going on.
And I have not prepared for this at all because I've been, prepping the studio.
I mean, not prepared for this specific show, but I mean, this is part of your everyday.
Yeah, I mean, this is my subject matter expertise, if you will. But, I'm just saying.
Well, you're still calling yourself an expert.
No, part of what, okay, damn it, there's no way out of this. Valid point. I would like to withdraw. Before we go there, this is kind of one of those bittersweet shows because we're like 1 or 2 shows away from the new studio switch.
I know.
And we Saied and I, prior to this recording, we're in the new space, and we have a table coming in about a week or so. We got the rug, and that's kind of the major furniture starting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
TVs are up.
Yep. And
the new format of the show, for those who watch the show, certainly I think it'll change the way we sound when we talk to one another because, number one, the acoustics in space are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But number two, we're going to be sitting across from each other.
No, I'm not going to be able to get away with...
It's going to be more interview style like this.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to get away with just looking away from you.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that. But, I think I'm excited for the new space. There's obviously a lot of logistics and setup between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But, we've grown. We went from in the garage to this place.
I was looking at some older photos that we had of us in the garage. And
yeah.
I remember the thick blanket that we had up to...
Oh, the sound?
For the
sound. I still have that, by the way.
Yeah.
It's in the back of the truck.
Mm.
I use it for other things now.
Good man.
Transporting supplies to the show.
There you go. We got this from CNBC. March home sales dropped to their slowest pace since 2009. Key points here. Sales of previously owned homes in March fell 5.9% from February. That's month over month. Inventory was up nearly 20% from a year earlier. And more inventory and slower sales are starting put on a chill on prices.
Not at all unexpected. I saw this headline today. I did repost it because I thought that it was important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too early to call any type of, quote, trending because what we're seeing is this volatility in the markets and the data that's coming in now. Keep in mind, housing is a lagging indicator.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some proxies for how housing is going to come in, like mortgage applications.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we don't really know what the housing market looks like until about 6 months after any stagnant point in time or static point in time. So I'm hesitant right now to think too hard at that particular statistic, but the recession pundits have certainly pointed to it. The housing pundits have pointed to it and poked holes in it. And what I'll say is this, is that I truly believe there is a cultural change that's going to happen regardless of whether we enter a housing impacted economy or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably important for what we're going to talk about later on because it's going to come down to investment strategy and what you, if you're a realtor, what you should be thinking about talking to your clients about. If you're in the market to buy a home, this is going to change what you ask and how you think about things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a little bit of applicability to everybody. I am so goddamn caffeinated.
Good.
I have 400 milligrams.
That's what the show needs.
And I got a lot of criticism last show for being overly caffeinated, by the way.
criticism.
Yeah,
I
people
thought,
were like, "Listen, Chris, like it's too much.
I need you to
Like walk it back."
It's not matching the vibe of the room.
So let me see what I have to say, then we'll go into the rest of the show. So I think that the backbone to keeping up consumer confidence has been this equity that people have acquired in a relatively narrow period of time in their homes. So we have this unprecedented level of non-household debt. We have this massive amount of credit card debt out there that really came after the stimmies, but continued to grow. It's like a hockey stick straight up if you look at non-household debt in general. It's certainly credit card debt. Highest amount of student loan debt in history, even with all the forgiveness.
Oh yeah.
You've got debt problems out there, but everybody's gone, but look at the equity in homes. So this is not going to just impact people who are looking to buy homes now. So for a long time, people were saying, hey, look, it affects first-time home buyers. It affects the people who are, on the fringe. Well, now that confidence that people got from, I've got $1 million of equity in my home, or I've got $500,000 of equity in my home, that's going to go the other way if home values go down. And if consumer confidence fails, in addition to volatility, which we're already seeing in the market really impacting consumer confidence, I think you're going to have a consumer sentiment shift, which is going to slow the economy dramatically in and of itself. So I think there's reasons for the headlines to be impactful and scary. Whether that actually affects the consumer and the markets, I don't know. But what I will say has happened as a result of all these economic changes, I think the middle class is smaller than it's ever been in history. That the American dream is a very different paradigm than it once was. We've talked about that in previous shows.
Right. And how do you think we got here?
Most of the taxes paid in the country historically, at least this is observationally my opinion here, have come from the middle class. They made more money than the lower class, but not enough money to be in the uber wealthy and have a lot of really sophisticated tax strategies. But the middle class is shrinking. So companies are going to have to pick that up because the wealthy individuals are not going to pick that up, right? It's just they're not going to vote to pay taxes themselves and politically lobby accordingly. So it's going to be companies, most likely, that pay these taxes. So, we got here over a very interesting landscape of time where the wealthy got wealthier. It got really, really hard to buy homes. The number one source of wealth for most Americans is the equity they build up in their home over time. And if less and less Americans can start buying homes, you're walking into a generation where the average age of a home buyer is going up into the 30s. And that means they're getting 10 years less equity appreciation over time, 10 years less skin in the game.
Yeah.
And they can go into alternative investments, but a lot of people were warded off by alternative investments. Some people were lucky enough to go into crypto early. But I think you've had a shrinking pool of assets with which to invest for. I mean, it's simply put. But a lot of Americans who would normally buy a home, acquire equity, buy a bigger home, they didn't do that. If they bought a home, they didn't buy another home because they had these historic low rates. And if they didn't buy a home, they never got the equity appreciation over time. And hopefully went into other investments, but those other investments didn't appreciate like homes did in most cases.
Right.
So you've got a really weird Molotov cocktail of circumstances that have led to a shrinking middle class. It's undeniable.
Right. So to dive in a little bit deeper on some of these key details, right? So we mentioned that existing home sales fell 6% month over month. Existing home sales, what does that mean? Those aren't new homes, right? These are homes that people lived in for a certain period of time. New home sales are up 7.5% month over month. But
again, 6-month lagging indicator.
But that came at a cost.
Yeah.
Right? They're up 7.4% month over month, but home prices have come down 7.5%.
So that's what they incentivize things. So home builders have incentives for people to buy. So when they start to see that their pipeline of sales is slowing, they've got deliveries to the market. What a lot of people don't realize is if you're a home builder, you're typically using lines of credit to finance these builds. And then there's a couple different ways these financing transactions are typically set up. But for most home builders, as new people come in and buy, you pay back part of your loan and you take some as profit. Because you don't want to just have profit on the back end. You got operations to maintain.
And when they're building out, they have this huge plot of land and they're literally doing them in divisions, right?
Depending on the size and scale of the home builder, yes. So home builder financing or builder financing, typically speaking, would work in like a track.
Yes, and then for them too, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the draw or part of the, I guess, the issue that they have to deal with is maintaining a certain level of volume, right? Because if you're building out on a subdivision like that, right, or a plot, and you release a certain amount of homes, now those new homeowners that are coming in, they're going to expect the rest of the division to be built out too.
And if you
within
don't
a certain period of
sell,
time,
you devalue, and if you devalue, there's new investments, and there's a whole problem
so
there.
they have so they have to allow for that, and allow for things like buying down your rate, which a lot of people are exploring.
Well, buying down your rate, plus they like to do like construction incentives, like you get more premium build out on your builds.
Mm-hmm.
So you get something like you get granite countertops instead of tile. You get more premium build out just for your home. They'll offer a bunch of different incentives to try to get you in the door. Rates are probably the most obvious because there's only really two levers here for home buyers. It's home price and rate.
Yes.
And if the National Association of Realtors, they're and pretty much all the housing pundits have always thought the solution to the affordability crisis is to lower rates, which we have long criticized in the show as being very self-interested, because what that really means is their commissions stay high, but their volume picks up.
Right.
I'm not saying that everybody's nefarious, but it's just a very convenient narrative, right?
Right.
The home builders that you're seeing now too also have some added challenges that they have to work through, which are not really being accounted for.
Okay.
If you're a home builder, you finance the entire build, right? But if it's profitable and you're doing this right, someone comes in and buys a property, you give a certain percentage of that, a larger percentage than you take home, or at best 50-50 to the bank to pay down your principal and interest on the loan. You take 50% for your operating profits so that you can continue to operate. But typically when you work through, call it 65-70% of your sales, the back end of it's all profit. So they're trying to get to those profits and get on to the next build by incentivizing you to keep going and keep going. So they're willing to eat into their incremental profits near term to get into those larger profits long term.
There you go.
So there's a reason why they want to get to these communities fulfilled and get to the back end. It's not just because they want to make it valuable for you. It's because they also want to move on to the next project, and they also want to get the bigger profits at the end of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons why that's important. Plus, they're also nervous about the economy and home prices too, right? If home prices are coming down and they're incentivized by bringing home prices down, they know that as this becomes like a waterfall effect, right? If our community's pricing down, the community across the street's pricing down, these comparable sales are pricing down, that means that sales prices are going to continue to drop incrementally over time, which eats into their profits incrementally over time. And as the 6-month lagging indicator catches up and all the reporting systems, they're going to go, okay, we know we've got about a 6-month window-ish before this becomes really, really impactful for us starting now.
Right. So we briefly touched on how buying mortgage points work, right? For people that are looking at buying newer homes and what some of these newer builders will allow you to do, right?
And it's always a conversation, by the way. There is not a single person who's ever done this and gone, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Easy.
Yes.
It's always a logical conversation.
Right. And so just a breakdown of how it works, right? So mortgage points equal prepaid interest. You pay points to the lender at closing. 1 point equals 1% of your loan, right? Example, on a $400,000 loan, 1 point equals $4,000, right?
Yeah, upfront, yes.
Upfront, right? And each point typically lowers your interest rate by 0.25%.
So that's it. So for every 1 percentage point you pay of your loan amount upfront, they will reduce your interest on your loan that you're paying every single month moving forward by about 25 basis points, or 1/4%.
Right.
The reason why this is important is it does reduce your mortgage payment on a monthly basis, assuming you have the money up front to pay down that point. And this buy down can be done by you, or it can be done by your builder as a way to incentivize you to build. Like, hey, Saied, I know the prevailing market rate is 6.25% to buy this property, and that mortgage payment's a little high for you. But if I paid, in this case, 1% of your loan amount to buy down that rate to give you a 6% rate, would that be more attractive to you to buy? Because now, even though the home price is still high, your mortgage payment's lower because I've bought that rate down for your benefit.
Right. Now, the question then becomes this, right? If rates right now are hovering around 7%, I think as of today, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right, meaning the rate that you come in at, that's going to be your rate for 30 years. I think that's what most people think of when they get a home loan, right?
Yeah, 30-year mortgage.
30-year mortgage. Right now it's at 6.84%. Buying down your rate by a point drops it down a 1/4 point, right? You think to yourself, is that a better option? Or what's currently going on right now also is now more so than in the past 2 years, the highest amount of adjustable rate mortgages are being taken into account.
Wow, I didn't know we were going to go here. So I have
For a single this is from what I've seen an investment product tool, right? But people do use it for
It's not an investment product tool solely. The wealthy have used this methodology for a great deal of time for their primary residences.
Yeah.
Because they've looked at them. So I have never been a fan of the Grant Cardone rhetoric of, oh, hey, you should rent your home. And he's like, invest all your money, which conveniently works out in investing in his properties, right?
Yeah.
From a guy who also bought his property in Malibu. So it's like, come on, like it's just contradictory. But the wealthy have long used this saying, okay, if I own a $20 million home, okay, and I put $10 million into it, and I get a 50% loan to value, I don't really care about paying this down. So what I'm going to get is a 5-year interest-only ARM loan on my property, and I'm going to pay interest only. I got $10 million into this thing.
Right.
I owe 50% on it.
And because this product is considered a riskier product, the interest rate on it is slightly less than what you would see on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right?
That's right. It's a teaser rate.
Yes.
It's supposed to tease you. So it's basically fixed in this case for 5 years, and then it adjusts usually to an index plus margin rate, which is going to be higher typically at the end. Well, it's always going to be higher because your index plus margin, the floor rate is always going to be the start rate of the ARM. So to make that clear, if let's just say you got a loan today based off of SOFR plus 2%, and let's just say SOFR is 5%, make this easy.
That's an index, okay.
Right? So the 30-year SOFR plus 2% would be a 7% blended rate. But let's just say your teaser rate is 4%.
Looks kind of attractive.
Looks kind of attractive. At the end of your fixed period, whether that's 3, 5, or 7 years, typically your 4% is going to be the lowest it's ever going to be. So even if SOFR goes to the floor and it's 2%, and you're plus your 2%, you're never going to be lower than your start rate. That's typically how they work on the ARM side.
Okay.
But in almost all cases, it's going to be slightly higher than where you got it, unless you happen to come into the economy we just went into, 14, 15 years ago now. Actually, 16. Wow. So I think ARMs are demonized because for most people, they get into it, they have it for a couple of years, and they go, oh my God, I've got this ARM loan that's coming due to refinance, and they have like this payment shock.
Yes.
But if you're in the system and you're paying attention,
yes,
it can be a very valuable tool to reduce your monthly payment near term. I don't like it for someone who's using this as a primary residence who are struggling to buy a property, because if you don't have a clear defined economic plan to exit this,
right,
and by the time your ARM loan is up,
this is not one of those things you do and you just forget about and you put away, right?
Yeah.
So strategically speaking, some good times, or I guess times that would make it okay to exercise this kind of option, like what Chris mentioned earlier, right, is if you don't plan on staying in the properties long term, right? If you already know you're going to get out of it within 5 years, right?
And I think a lot of people think that when they get into a property. But the fact of the matter is people are staying in properties longer now. And a lot of this is an interest rate situation. A lot of this is the home price situation, but it's a Molotov cocktail of problems that have all kind of coalesced. So because people are staying in their properties longer, I think you go into it with the best laid plans of getting out in 5 years or 7 years and refinancing. But let's say we have a housing recession. Let's say your home value goes the other way. Let's say you've got a little bit negative equity now. You've eaten into the money you put into the property. You're going to be less incentivized to get out of it. So then you're like, okay, I'm going to refinance. Because you have no choice. If you had a 30-year mortgage, you would just keep that loan that you can currently pay today until such time as it's paid off in full. That's the benefit of a fully amortizing 30-year loan due in 30 years. Is at the end of it, you owe nothing. You've paid interest. Now, keep in mind your interest is front-loaded, and you're paying principal at a slower cadence. But this is incredibly valuable to you because there's no payment shock.
Right.
If you handle a payment today, unless your financial position doesn't change materially, you can handle that payment in perpetuity.
Right. If you got a loan over the last 14 years, right? Like
my mortgage payment is 2.71% interest rate.
I know. I hate that you got that on me. I got 2.99, right?
Yeah, which is a phenomenal rate. You shouldn't be disappointed with the fact that you're a little bit less qualified than me.
I got a 2-handle, right?
Yeah. And look, everybody who I know who has one in the 2s, like they feel just as wow.
I feel very lucky, feel very blessed, right? But this option is not an option you would have taken back then, right? Because I want to lock in that 2.99% rate for the next 30 years. You don't see it coming back down.
And I can make a compelling argument that you shouldn't you shouldn't take an arm today for most people.
Not on your primary residence. For me, it's a little risque.
It is, but look, I mean, everybody's risk appetite is different, and I'm not knocking anybody who does it. I just think anything below, and this is going to be very stigmatizing, the statement, anything below, call it 7.5%, 8%, you're still below the historical average for mortgages. I think if you can pay for that mortgage and you can get a 30-year fix, you have the money to put down, and I recognize I'm talking to a very, very narrow margin of society.
Right.
That is what you do.
And then another reason why you tune into the Higher Standard podcast is you want to stay up to date with all the other financial news, right? You want to stay up to date with what we're saying, Jerome Powell's saying, what the FOMC is saying, what's going on in the economy. Because if you feel like rates are going to fall in the near future based on everything you hear, then maybe this product is a good product. Maybe I do get an ARM loan for 5 years and thinking that rates are going to come down, and then I can refi out again into a fixed 30-year product.
Can I drop a little cheat code? Little life cheat code.
Yeah, a little cheat code.
I recognize for most people watching CNBC all day long and reading financial headlines is not exactly exciting. I know for those of you who listen to the show, loyal listeners, first of all, thank you. I know you get most of this from the show. But let's just say you weren't a Higher Standard listener and you made bad life choices.
I mean, just you got to educate those people right away.
Right. You could easily get the majority of this by literally, like if you're driving to work, turn on CNBC. Most of us have either YouTube TV or, whatever it is. Turn on CNBC, listen to the audio.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing to the family business?
I go against the family.
You're going against the family right now.
No, what I'm trying to say is it's not that hard to stay plugged in. I think people over-stigmatize it because, I got to read about this. I got to know about futures. And no, you don't.
No, you don't.
All you got to do is listen to 10 minutes a day of CNBC or here's what I do. I have it in my office on all day long.
Yeah.
I'm looking at headlines. If something comes up that I think is important, I'll turn on the volume. Otherwise, it's not. I'm just watching the ticker.
Right.
I'm watching the treasuries all day long. For me and for my job, that's important. For most people in America, it's not that important.
Yeah.
But what I do think we should all do is we should all know, hey, did Netflix, by the way, we called that reporting. We called that in the show.
We did.
We said that Netflix was going to report strong. They reported strong.
They did. And we knew they would.
But today's market, up positive numbers. There's lots of rhetoric. And when I drove into the market, this morning, I saw some negative news about China and the president and tariffs and talks.
Yeah.
Then I saw some weird intermittent news. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to make of this. I'm in the business of understanding some of the backstory here and the rhetoric, and I cannot tell you what the market's going to do based on some of these headlines.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to know the headlines, whether you know what the market's going to do or not, than to not know them.
Right.
So if you know that, this is terribly basic. You watch CNBC, they have graphics. If you see a bull and the graphic is green, market is positive. If you see a bear and the market is red, market is not positive.
Yeah, but when people see that, they don't know what to make of it. I think they're very much confused because they're hearing recession talk. Oh, there's so much instability, so much volatility.
It's cumulative.
Yeah.
You see this on TV, red 3 days in a row, you can pretty much say you are in a challenged economy. Yeah. You see green 3 days in a row, you go, you know what, man, if you see red, green, then the market's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, you stick around for a couple weeks.
I'm trying to make this basic, man.
Yeah, well, I know. Speaking of basic, I saw a brief clip of Jordan Belfort doing a podcast, right? Wolf of Wall Street guy.
Does he still do podcasts?
He was doing an interview.
He's getting sleazier a little bit.
I don't know, man. Based on his track record, it was pretty sleazy at one point.
I read his book before it was a movie, long before it was a movie.
Yeah.
I read Catching the Wolf of Wall Street, which was the second book in the series.
The sequel, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't have a bad take home. It was when he started using the movie to boost his presence and going on podcasts that I was like, eh.
I mean, he's trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
No, I get it, but then you try to become like Tony Robbins. Where you're motivating sales teams. Are you the guy?
That's not the comeback people want to see.
Yeah, I don't
buying in.
See you just run and build a legitimate corporate business.
That's not gonna happen. That credibility is long gone, bro. Come on. right? Unfortunately for him. But what is kind of cool is when he on this podcast, he kept it very basic and very simple. And when someone like him says it as simple as this, you got to believe, man, it's true. It has to be true. It's not that difficult. Invest in the S&P 500 long term, 30 years, and then get out. You're gonna beat most hedge fund managers doing so. Warren Buffett has said the same exact thing.
No, that's true.
You know, it's like this is not it's not rocket science.
It's not, but people overcomplicate it because they're afraid.
They're afraid. So that's a great way to get in, start. Because yes, you are gonna have those friends that are gonna tell you, bro, I just made this much on crypto. Like, how did you not? You should have listened to me. You know?
I don't have those friends, actually.
No, but the people that do brag are going to be the ones that
Lord help the person that comes to me with that conversation.
No, the friends of yours that are going to come to you bragging are going to come to you bragging about the speculative investments that they made that they got lucky on. They're not going to tell you about the hits that they took, right?
I'm pretty open about the hits that I took, but I would say yeah.
No, but you're not doing risky investments like that. Come on now.
No, but I mean, I sold a property last year that really hurt my ego, my pride, my wallet to pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got taxes back from a refund from 2022 this year, which would have negated the need to sell.
Oh.
But then we bought the new studio space. So that replaces that one. And I mean, I look at it like this, like I would not have bought the studio space so aggressively had I not have been reeling from the loss of a property because I don't like selling properties. I didn't want to go backward.
Right.
So maybe it all kind of works out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just, I know you're going to use this against me at some point in time. Maybe I'm just a little anal retentive.
You?
Yeah.
Got some OCD?
I got a lot, dude. And it's getting worse as I get older.
Yeah?
It's getting.
What's the one that you're noticing that's like creeping up on you more and more?
Of the OCD traits?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I have a way of doing things every single morning. Like I want a routine.
Yeah.
And part of it's because it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like my testosterone levels are improving like naturally. So I'm actually scaling that back. And that's part of the reason. But I have a routine.
Yes.
I want to get up. I want to get an energy drink.
Mm-hmm.
Get downstairs. Get on the bike. Ride for 20 minutes. Get in the cold plunge. Get out of the cold plunge.
Yeah.
Go upstairs. Go about my day. Want to stop at Starbucks. Head in the office.
Mm-hmm.
I have that routine. I can deviate from it. I don't like to.
So this is actually something coincidentally for me too. I know you're gonna take your jabs, but your boy's trying. So let's give me some positive reinforcement here, okay?
Why do you make me sound like I don't support you working out? I support you working out.
No. Yeah.
A great deal.
I know. So for the last 2 weeks, your boy's been waking up at 5 a.m. to get down in the garage gym and hit the gym, right?
Okay. I've been seeing a lot of walking though. I haven't seen a lot of lifting.
No. Lift. No, I do. I'm trying to get into this 30 minutes a minimum walk every morning. So kind of like your bike cardio, right? And then a lifting session right after.
May I suggest something?
Yes.
Given the limited availability you have to work out.
Yes.
And the fact that you're not doing 2-a-days.
Yes, I'm not.
I would suggest lifting for 10 minutes more and doing 20 minutes of cardio.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I just really like the 30 minutes. I'll be honest, by the end of that 30 minutes, I feel really good.
How much are you lifting? How often? How long are you lifting?
It's for the last 2 weeks, right? It's about 30 minutes and I'm doing full body.
So I would prefer
cycling. I'm doing like a circuit where it's a full body workout. And then
I like full body workouts.
I'm trying to be honest,
3 days a week.
4 days a week right now.
Okay.
But and then 1 day of like maybe extended like long distance walk, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'll incorporate a little bit of jump rope too, maybe on that day. And mind you, this has only been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But what I am trying to gear towards is I'm trying to set myself up to get myself back into a rhythm where I'm not going to get hurt to start anabolic.
MAPS anabolic?
Yeah.
Yeah, good program.
Yeah.
Then here's what I would do. I would 20 minutes low intensity steady state cardio just to get warm in the morning time, right?
Yeah.
If you really want to engage a little bit more, hold some dumbbells in your hand and do some curls and just kind of arm movements to get fully warm and burn a little extra calories.
Yeah.
And then go into lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have focal groups on the 4 days. Like, so if I was doing a 4-day split, it would be
a bro split.
It'd be like chest and tris, but I would still do some like legs and some other stuff.
That's my favorite style. I'll be honest. I have not enjoyed the full body, it's actually been kind of frustrating because like I'll start to get a pump in.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, God, man, like I just want to keep doing that. I want to keep hitting this.
So here's what you do is, so you'll do like chest and tries, but you're also going to do some like leg work in that too. So you'll do chest, tries, you'll do one. So a great example is I'll do like bench, right? I'll do tricep, like extensions.
Mhm.
I'll do abs,
Mhm.
air squats, and then that's my circuit. And then
Nice.
I'll do like 3 circuits.
Yeah, that's pretty much my full body. Yeah.
Right. But you're really focusing on heavier lifting. That's why it's just air
But
squats.
instead of the air squats, so mine instead of the air squats, I'll do goblet squats, just because I'm using the bench in the squat rack, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to
again,
readjust everything.
all
So
good. But here's the problem though: when you do full body workouts like this, you need to get people hate this. The weight that you're lifting is good because if you're trying to burn more calories and put out more exertion, like that's how you do it, right? But you also get a benefit from working the muscle time under tension, right? So
yeah,
going
yeah,
slower,
yeah.
being more,
More methodical. I am
and working
very
the muscles more frequently.
yes. I am very. Oh, that's the other thing that I'm doing.
Mm.
I've already started incorporating like the trigger sessions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which I like. Which
Yeah,
I
and I
like.
think trigger sessions
And
are
I think
really logical.
I think that's going to help a lot. But so this is the OCD part that I wanted to touch on.
Mm.
And compared to times in the past when I've like gone into like the lifting mode and exercise mode. Now at this age, it's to the point where if I don't work out in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I want to work out constantly. If I could work out all day long, I would.
Like it doesn't feel good. Well, first of all, I would like to work out later in the middle of the day, but there's not enough time, right? We come into the office, there's work to do, we're slammed, so there's not. And then when I come home, like my kids are at an age right now where when they literally like, I haven't seen you all day. I want to see you. I want to spend time with you.
Yeah,
Right?
but can't you like do it afterward?
Well, after they go to sleep,
Yeah.
then I'm like, I'm wide awake. I'm not pushing myself to the point of exhaustion. I'm trying to take the approach that Sal talks about on the show, right? Mind pump, mind pump, mind pump. Where you want to leave having like energy, right? You want to do what's optimal, right? Not what's tolerable.
Well, yes and no. So I agree you want to leave having energy if you're working out in the day, but if you're at the end of the day and you're tired. So I did this yesterday. I was exhausted. I did not want to go to the gym.
Mm.
I knew getting a workout was better than not getting a workout at all.
Mm.
I knew the workout wasn't going to be great going into it. So I did my 20 minutes cardio and then I lifted weights. And first set of like, I was doing bench. I did incline. I started with incline. First set, I'm like, first of all, strength isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm clearly in a caloric deficit. I'm tired.
Mm.
But I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I was exhausted when I went. I was exhausted when I left. And I went to the studio last night and worked.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it, it's better than nothing.
Yes. And that's the other component behind this. That if I want to have a frank conversation, right?
Frank conversation.
Yeah, let's have a frank conversation. Is I think the number one thing that has held me back for so long, okay, is I'm really interested in this space, the health and fitness space. I tune into a lot of different podcasts, especially Mind Pump, right? I listen to Huberman. I listen to David, what's your boy's name? David Atalia? Is that his name?
Peter Attia?
Oh, Peter Attia. Damn, I
Wow.
called him David.
You weren't even close.
Yeah, but I listen to him from time to time, right? And a couple other guys. And here's my issue. I know too much. And because I can't incorporate 100% right away.
Nobody incorporates 100%.
I know, and that's my problem. Because I know too much, I know I'm not doing everything I should be doing. It's kept me from starting.
So here's what I would say.
And that's something that I've acknowledged. And I'm like, okay, you know what to do? I got to make slow changes.
It's slow changes. My wife has this. I adore my wife. She'll get into working out and she'll go hard as hell day one, be super sore,
Right.
discouraged. And she won't say that she's discouraged, but you can just tell like she's in pain, so she's not going to work out the next day.
Mhm.
I take a very different approach. I don't know where I changed mentally for this, but my approach to working out has changed huge. In recent weeks, it's changed a lot again.
Mm.
I'm not working out every day like I used to. I'm working out maybe 3 days a week at most.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even hitting it that hard. I'm really just kind of maintaining. And yet I'm seeing more physiological response. I'm leaner and I've actually lost weight in general, but I'm leaner than I otherwise would be. I think a lot of it's intermittent fasting, a lot of it's constant movement.
Yeah, I've started the fasting too.
Yeah, and I think people over stigmatize a lot of these things. When I was trying to intermittent fast and I was being very direct about it,
Mm-hmm.
dude, it just, I was thinking about food all day long.
I couldn't help it. Yeah.
And when I pivoted to, look, I'm just going to have coffee, I stopped like demonizing things.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll have a natural cold brew in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. With some milk in it, sweet cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it. We get it. Technically speaking, to like the purest of intermittent fasting. Like you broke your fast, bro.
Yeah, you broke my oh my god,
you're not intermittent fasting, bro.
Days that I'm hungry, I will have like a protein like snack in the morning. Like I don't care.
Right.
But most days I'm so busy in the morning anyway, and I have my routine that I'm so focused on getting to the routine, getting everything else that I'm not even thinking about food till like 12 or 1.
Yeah, you're not thinking about like how you're laying out this whole entire journey.
Actually, today's a great example. All I've had to eat today was a burrito and chips. And I try to eat a burrito every day.
Honestly,
I'm on a burrito a day diet, bro.
Yeah.
And
that's a good way to live, though.
I say this like kind of tongue in cheek, but in reality, I have found a way to eat essentially whatever I want, and I don't gain weight. And what I found, and nobody talks about this. No one
man,
ever.
You know who you are now.
Huh?
If it fits in your macros, you're that guy now.
Oh,
if it fits your macros,
I'm Lane Norton.
Yeah.
I don't even. So I don't track
He's been
macros.
on the show. He's been on your show before.
Yeah, Lane's been on the show. He's a good
Saied.
Saied, yeah. So here's what I would say about nobody ever talks about over 40 or getting in your late 30s, and this affects women and men differently. I think when women get it in their late 30s a little bit, it really depends on your own metabolism. Though everybody gets this differently. When my metabolism slowed down, I thought I was insane. I was doing all the right things. I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on, and it was just like it was such an uphill battle. And I mean, I was so dialed in with macros, with working out. I just didn't make any sense. And I was still gaining weight, gaining body fat. But I was using the same mentality I had when I was in my 20s about getting my 1 gram of protein per pound of body fat or per pound of body weight. And I was trying to do all the things that I thought I knew were good. When you think about the context of where most of your bodybuilding advice comes from.
That's my problem.
Is that comes from people in a very different age, demographic, and lifestyle than you are leading.
Correct.
So when I took that pressure off myself to say, I'm just going to do what I feel like works for me.
Yeah.
And I am educated enough in health and fitness, and I stay abreast of new modern trends to know what I know.
Right.
But I discard all of it. I literally had a burrito and chips today. I know that I'm under my calories today. I have not had a day of hitting a gram per pound of body weight of protein in probably 2 years. And I know that. I know at the end of the day, I'm protein deficient. I can argue. I know what the science says. I can tell you based on my metabolism today, I am leaner and stronger today than I've ever been historically. And people who listen to the show are like, Chris, you're on testosterone. Yes, but I was also on testosterone when I was 40 pounds heavier and
that
not
is
as
true.
lean.
I can attest to that.
And not as lean. So I can tell you that is not the reason why. I found a pattern and practice that worked for me. And I know someone's going to DM me and say, hey, like, tell me what it is.
I mean, isn't there, hold on. So a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, right?
I just say per pound of body weight, but yeah.
Let's just say that, right? That's in the event you want to build muscle, but you don't need.
Some people say that for maintenance too.
You don't need that much protein to maintain the muscle mass that you have.
Yeah, I try to like generalize the statements because I know people have heard the old adage. I'll say you need a lot less protein than you think you do, particularly as your metabolism slows and as you get older. And I know there's a lot of people listening to this going to be like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, but the vegans are going to be like, you're right, bro.
And here's the problem. The overarching theme that's going to really drive people crazy, whether we like it or not, as much as you and I are both humans and we look very similar, our physiology, our DNA is very different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use a very extreme example that's going to bother people.
Uh-oh.
There are some people that are freak athletes, right?
Oh, I know.
Some people can eat sugar and candy all day long and just be shredded.
Oh, yeah. Oh, literally, there's guys in the NFL that say, I just had a bag of Skittles
right
so far today. That's it.
Yeah. And they're just shredded. There is something fundamentally different about their body and mind. Because I can tell you, if I did that, I would be overweight. But yet, when you hear someone say, all I eat is protein, I don't need any carbs, you go, oh, I'm going to do that because that guy's lean. Well, no, that guy's the same guy who can eat a bag of Skittles. It's a different situation, different outcome.
Yes. Everybody's
physiology responds differently to different things.
I
do not like eating carnivore. I like carbs, bro.
I used to be that guy. I had cousins that we grew up the same, and then at one point in time I see them and they're you know, in a much different like physical shape than I had been. I'd be like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, oh man, I make smoothies in the morning and then I do this, and I'd be like, oh, sorry, having smoothies. You
Yeah,
know?
smoothies
Yeah.
wreck my stomach, by the way.
Yeah, right. And I mean, this was like years ago. Like I'm in like late 20s, and you're like, okay, well, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan in his prime was a known like alcoholic. Was drinking all day long. One of the greatest athletes of all time.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant too would drink like a liter of vodka in some sittings.
I know.
You know?
After losses, yeah.
Yeah, would still get out there and be able to. We do not appreciate that person you see as a spokesperson for some diet.
Mm-hmm.
It could actually work for that person. That they could be 100% legitimately telling you the truth. But that does not mean that it will absolutely work for everybody who watches it, but they sell it like it works for everybody.
Yes.
And that's the problem. That is the fundamental disconnect with we all want to look like that person on the screen, but we don't want to acknowledge that that person's DNA is different than mine.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this time around for me.
Take the pressure off yourself, man. Just do what works.
Doing what works, but I'm this time I'm listening to my own body. I'm listening to what feels right. I'm not going to force the issue. Like, let's say tonight, right now, what time is it? It is 11:01 Thursday night.
Early bird special, brother.
So tomorrow, I'm not going to wake up at 5 a.m. because I understand. I now recognize that sleep is important. So what I'm gonna
Peter T is very clear on this. If the choice is to get up super early, and be fatigued and work out, or get more rest and skip the workout, you should get more rest and skip the workout.
Now the old me would have beaten myself up over. Nope, I'm 100% in. I'm waking up tomorrow, and then I'm gonna. That just wrecks me.
Yeah.
You know, for the next couple of days. And it's like, this is not a good move.
See, this is where my OCD kicks in, where like that morning rhythm sets my entire tone for the day.
Yeah.
Like I don't do it because I want to be in shape. I do it because I want to. And I try to sleep when I can, but I also don't sleep a whole lot.
But that's what I know, yeah. And some people function differently, right? And that's one of my favorite things that I've taken away from Mind Pump is they say it's so interesting how we prepare our workouts. I know what split I'm doing, right? I'm doing push-pull legs. I'm doing a bro split. I'm doing full body, whatever, right? We prepare our meals. I got to hit my macros. But the last component, arguably one of the most important components about this whole thing is sleep.
Yeah.
And how come we don't prepare for our sleep the same way we do all the other things, right? And
I do.
I'm not saying to turn
logged and tracked in meticulous detail.
Right, and you know what works for you because you measure.
You know what's funny? And I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't think about this until just now. You just said it. It just rang true to me. I tracked macros for years down to the gram more than anybody I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah,
I was carrying a scale with me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I tracked my workouts down to the movement, the intensity, the volume, everything down to painstaking detail, my lifts. I don't track any one of those anymore. You know what I do track? Sleep. Sleep is the only variable
and you're
I track.
actively looking at it.
Every day.
So
every day I look at my sleep. I look at the quality of sleep. My time is less than most people, but I look at the quality of sleep, how long I was in deep sleep, how long I was in REM. And I legitimately try to I have red light therapy at home. I have the 8 sleep bed at home. The cold plunging in the morning, I don't do it at night because it does disrupt my sleep. I don't drink alcohol anymore, not because I don't like drinking alcohol. I love drinking alcohol. It affects my sleep.
Yes.
So sleep is the only thing that I've prioritized. And here's how crazy of an important variable that is. I have completely deprioritized eating. Completely I do eat a lot less.
Isn't this so insane?
Completely deprioritized my workouts. My workouts are nowhere near as good as they used to be. I worked out one day this week. I worked out chest, abs, and triceps.
Yeah.
Right? It is Thursday. Okay. I'm probably going to have a back and bi workout tomorrow, Friday. And then if I'm lucky, I'll have one more workout for 3 of this weekend. And I'm probably not going to be lucky because I'll probably work in the studio every single day.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm in probably the best shape of my life now.
Insane, right? Yeah. And this is something that my wife and I were really trying to focus on because I know we joke around on the show, but my wife and I, our only time is after the kids go down. And we like the family time together, but we like to have these long conversations at night where we're talking about each other's days and this and that. But then that always bleeds into us losing sleep, right? Yeah. So now we're trying to make an honest effort at getting to bed at a certain time every night.
I'm very delineated with this. Honey, we are going to bed.
Yeah. No. It's not that I'm not thinking in the back of my mind I should be going to bed right now, but I'm stuck here talking, right?
No.
No.
I'm not either. But I will literally look at the clock and be like, okay, what time do I have to wake up tomorrow? What time does my day start? And I will literally measure out the minimum amount of sleep that we should be getting.
Yeah.
And I'll go, it's bedtime. We're going to
bed. Now it's to the point where I'm trying to make such an honest effort that it's okay. When she's usually what I do is let her go take a shower first, and then after she's done, I'll take a shower. Now it's like she'll take a shower, and I'll just go jump in the kid's shower. I'm like, I don't even care about showering my own shower anymore. I just want to hurry up and get to bed and just like let's call it a night.
Yeah. I mean,
the
showering thing's interesting too because it does set the thermodynamics up the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my one thing is I if I don't work out during the day, like I'm not always showering at night.
Right.
I know you don't. I know you think I'm a dirty birdie, but
I don't understand how you get into your sheets like that. You're showering tonight though.
Yeah. No, I work in the studio. I shower every night.
Yeah. So he was pretty locked in. Speaking of the lock-in,
We're going back to mortgages.
the lock-in effect, baby. No, we don't need to.
No, we can. Look, it's fine.
No, I think that's a big component as to why everything is the way that it is, right? I mean,
yeah, people got crazy ass low rates for a long period of time, and it really impacted. I think the expectations for new home buyers. It impacted the expectations for existing home buyers. It's really created a lock-in effect that has prevented transactional activity. So I think one of the things that nobody talks about that I think is getting completely ignored and shouldn't be. Is that transactional volume is slowing. So if transactional volume slows, then you're not going to see the change in pricing happen at a great cadence either because there's just not enough transactions on the market to move the needle.
right.
So I think that you're going to wind up seeing a slower amount of volume. And look, there's people that splice this every which way from Friday. The problem that I've had when preparing for our recent shows is that there's just a lot of uncertainty. I can't point to a data point and give somebody a direction right now.
Okay.
All I can say is right now it's anybody's guess. The data is going to change. I don't think the Fed's going to cut rates in the next meeting. I think anybody who's hopeful of that is deluded.
Yeah.
And that's just not real. I think the pressure from political tightrope from both the Fed secretary's perspective and the president's perspective is going to continue to be there. And I think that's going to create a lot of discomfort in the narrative around Fed policy.
Right.
So for the near term, you have a lock-in effect, keeping people somewhat situated.
80% of the people who have mortgages right now have a mortgage of 6% or less.
Yeah.
And
that's
if
a fantastic rate.
Or if a 30-year fixed mortgage right now is at 6.84%, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That's why you're locked into what you have. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you could not convince me to refinance my first trust deed right now.
I know.
You couldn't. I mean, I get it. People do it, but
right.
Some
people will do it. Some people would do it just to pull out cash, right? To go do something else, maybe
pay off debt.
I mean, for a lot of people, it's their only option, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Now let's give some advice to someone who's trying to prepare to buy a home in this current economic cycle, right? Some basic tips, just overall. This is not just for this economic cycle, but just in general. How would you even begin to prepare for this endeavor, right? Get your finances tight. Get it right. Get it tight. You don't like that? That's got to be a T-shirt.
You practiced that, didn't you?
Oh, I did it.
You did.
I just thought of the song.
No, you didn't.
I thought it was like, get it right, get it tight.
Oh, stop.
Get it right. Come on, you remember those days?
No, I do. I just don't remember you remembering those days.
Yeah. You got to check your credit score, right? You got to make sure you got a good credit score. You got to make sure.
I check my credit score monthly. So
I know you like to flex.
I want to be clear.
850, Mr. 850.
850, baby. So I want to be clear that all the places you get your credit score from that are the soft pulls that give you an indicative credit score, whether you have like American Express or Wells Fargo or you're using an app, those are not necessarily 100% accurate. What they are is they're doing a soft pull of your credit report from one of the bureaus. You have Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And let's just say they're using Experian to do this, right? Or TransUnion. And they're giving you an indicative credit score based on that. There's two other bureaus, and not everybody reports into all the bureaus. So your actual credit score is usually pulled from a tri-merge. So a banker or lender will pull all three, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion.
Mm-hmm.
You have a high score, and a low score, and they'll get rid of them, and they'll look at the middle score
Mm-hmm.
and say whatever that middle score is, that's the credit score they use to determine what your credit score is. So even though you have one that could be high, like for example, mine could be 850 from whoever's pulling it. Let's just say there's one that's 800 and one that's at 825, and usually they're pretty close to one another because the major things do get reported, like your defaults on payments, your late payments, stuff like that. They all get reported.
I've seen ranges of like 50 to 60.
Yeah, they can swing a little bit
at the high
so
end.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a false sense of security. But what I think is important is you look at your credit score. And a lot of those credit reporting companies that do this vis-a-vis your mobile apps and your websites, they also kind of tell you why your score moved. If it's higher credit balances, you should be aware. If it's additional inquiries in your credit score because you look to buy a home or a car or get credit cards somewhere, you should be aware.
Mm-hmm.
I think knowing how these things impact your credit score and knowing approximately where you're at all times, like every month or so, it's only 12 times a year. I think that's a worthwhile investment of 5 minutes of your time once a month.
Yeah, and it might give you a little insight into like maybe some unauthorized things happen against your account that
100%. I locked my credit score up so nobody could pull my credit score like almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to be like this problematic thing where I have to release it and stuff like that. No.
Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine, right?
Totally fine. I went to all 3 credit bureaus, signed up for like their lock-up thing, and locked them all up.
So to Chris's point, then the credit report will tell you what you can do to increase your score, and it'll even tell you can pay this down, pay that down. It'll increase your score by
it has
this
some
many
suggestions.
points.
They're pretty helpful.
It does have some suggestions, right? So the next component with this is paying down some of your debt, because ultimately when you pay down some of your debt to income ratios will increase higher, meaning you will qualify for more. Not to say that you should stretch as far as possible, but it's nice. You want to pay down that debt so you can afford a home that fits your family's needs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Look, we all cycle through debt. I think using debt strategically. I'm not a Dave Ramsey guy. You can't have debt ever. Get out of here. It's crazy. Debt is part of the wealth system and how you use it. I think long-term debt is weaponized well.
Mm-hmm.
So buying homes, using debt that's deployed over a longer amortization means you're usually paying less on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
That's good debt to have. Typically anchors your credit score. The near-term stuff like cars, also installment loans will anchor your credit score a little bit.
And it'll give you a nice little boost when you pay it off.
Yeah, decent. But credit card debt, use charge cards. Don't use credit cards. American Express is a charge card. You charge it up. You pay the balance in full every single month. I'm a big proponent of using charge cards versus credit cards. We have previous episodes on that. If you can avoid using credit cards and start focusing on just charge cards like Amex, I think you have better overall credit management personally, and you have an extra layer of security because no one's tapping into your ATM account, your balances.
Next up is probably building some cash reserves, right? You're going to need to figure out your down payment situations, anywhere between 3 to 20% down payment, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, you want to get it to that 20% range so you don't have to pay the PMI.
Private mortgage insurance.
Yeah, private mortgage insurance. Closing costs, anywhere between 2 to 5% of the purchase price. And then you want to have an emergency fund somewhere between 3 to 6 months.
So, and I can't stress enough, and I say this every single month to at least one person. Saied, I say it to pretty regularly. Get your real estate license.
Yeah, I got to do that like ASAP.
We've been years. It's been years you and I have been talking about this.
I think I'm gonna do it out of the new studio space. I'm gonna blame it on you. Like this is what I needed this whole time. This was really on you. Yeah.
So it took a man cave for you to man up?
It took a man cave for me to man up.
Yeah.
I feel like you can get canceled for saying that.
It took a woman cave for you to woman up?
There you go. All person cave.
Do they have woman caves? Is that a thing?
If they want, they should have.
No one ever calls it that, but I mean, what would you put in a woman cave? Would it be like
I'm not doing this.
No, because I know like a man cave was typically like leather and like smoky and all of those things. Yeah. My wife likes this stuff too. So my wife has a very manly aesthetic. She likes like the space we built out.
Well, it's a nice vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, she likes that vibe. Even my wife, like we both like industrial. Like she has like that. So, but I don't know what would go in her woman cave.
Yeah.
Huh. There's some witchcraft stuff for sure.
Yeah, we should ask her.
It's crystals. Crystals would go in her woman cave.
Crystals. There you go.
That would be her thing.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Right. And you touched on this. Is you want to make sure you get pre-approved, right? Not pre-qualified. There's a difference, right? Pre-qualified.
Pre-qualifications aren't a thing that much anymore.
It's not a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you can go speak to a broker and he asks you how much money you're making, this and that, but he doesn't actually run your credit score to figure out what your debt to income ratios are. can't really tell you that you're approved for anything.
You know, it's a crazy thing to me that's become like an American standard that I don't fully understand why.
Mm.
When people think about getting a mortgage, think about Rocket, Quicken, you know, these online, digitally marketed, very heavy digital presence lenders.
Okay.
But every single person in America that has a bank account has an existing relationship with somebody who probably makes home loans,
Yes.
right? Most banks make a home loan.
Yes.
So if you have that relationship, why wouldn't your first logical process be to call the bank you bank with? If you're Wells Fargo, call Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you call that bank first?
That seems like a very. I remember back when I was in college working for Wells Fargo on the teller line, that there was somebody from like the single family mortgage department of Wells Fargo that would routinely come in,
I've always thought that was a better model.
And it just feels like an easier, seamless transition, like a nice little warm handoff. Hey, we already got all the information.
You know what I don't like though?
What don't you like?
So I don't like when I have to make an appointment to go see somebody.
Oh, really?
Like if I have to make an appointment to come talk to you, I want to be able to, if I'm going to Wells Fargo and I have a home inquiry, like I want to be able to go to a desk and be like, yo, like I got a question about home loans.
Yo.
You know what I mean? Like I don't, like I'm serious. Like,
hey, yo, man, I got a question about these home loans y'all selling. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to buy one of these things, man.
Yeah, these things. Yeah. I need one. I need a.
No one wants to call a 1-800 number to talk to somebody.
No.
You don't know who's in the line of that phone. And I don't care what they sound like. You don't know where they're at.
Yeah, valid.
You know, I mean, let's be honest. I don't want to talk about my credit score with somebody in the Philippines or in India. Like, I don't want to call. I want a local domestic person. Not that I don't trust them from a cultural standpoint, just because I don't want to call another country to talk about my credit score.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person? Like, I feel like this should be so like domestic and like protected.
Yeah, I agree.
And like, I'll be honest, like if you live in like the Philippines or you live like in India or something, like wherever this call center is located,
yeah.
Do you know what it's like to buy a home in America?
Right.
And I'm just saying, like I want to talk to somebody who can like, if we can do this, I'd like to talk to somebody in California. So if I can walk into a branch of somebody in California who's dealt with similarly situated home buyers in the past, like that's who I want to talk to because I live here. That's where I'm trying to buy a home.
Right.
It blows me away. You have these call centers of people who are living in foreign countries.
do want to. So then, it makes you feel safer if you would go in and speak to somebody.
It's not just safer. I just want to talk. I feel like the person who's in California, who's representing like a banker or like a lender or whatever.
But then you probably feel like you're paying a premium for that service.
Well, yes and no, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of big companies who use call centers all over the world, and not only domestically, like in different states, but also. What I'm saying is if I talk to somebody in California about getting a loan from them, right? If I go into, like, we're in Irvine. We go into Irvine. We have a conversation with somebody. That person's talked to similarly situated home buyers in Irvine. They're probably going to know the market better.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Right? So calling in, like, one of these lenders that you're just, like, calling into a call center, like, they don't know the market, and they're trying to treat it like widgets. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of that where there's a lot of similarities, but it's also, like, I don't need to be sold this product. I need somebody who's going to coach me through the product.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like you get that with somebody in person. I know I'm watering down like scales of economy and businesses and so on and so forth, but I'm just saying you can be in a call center, but if you're in a call center in California and I'm buying a property in California, I feel a whole lot better about it. You know?
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I agree with you.
You're like trying to sidestep bad thoughts.
No.
You look at me with that evil eye twist. I'm like, well, what's going on there, boy?
No, because it makes sense, right? Like, if you see, in my community, in my neighborhood, right, I see the same 3 realtor names all over the place. And
I also don't like that.
I don't like that, but here's the thing. They know that market better than anybody. So if I was looking to list my home, maybe I go to one of them because they know it, right? They know it better than anybody.
Some of them do, and it's undeniable, but I also don't like it because sometimes you get a false, you confuse marketing and branding with talent. Just because Joe and Jane are on every single billboard in the area and everybody uses Joe and Jane.
I'm not saying billboard, I'm saying actual listings.
Yeah, no, I get
like
it.
Open house for this person this way, and you're like,
I'm just a hater.
You know enough where you're like, nah, bro, you can't get me.
It's not that. It's like I fully respect people who own markets like that. I get it. I would say that I've had some really fantastic ones. I've had some really salesy, heavy ones that I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, don't do this with
Like,
me.
don't sell me. Like, I know enough to where I don't need to be sold a property.
Right.
I just need to be told if this meets what I want or not.
There you go. Yeah. And the right agent should know that. The right
Yeah.
agent should know who he needs to or who she needs to sell the home to.
So this is where I'll say, like, look, using an agent it should be a relationship. It shouldn't be a transaction. If you feel like you're a transaction, you're with the wrong agent. In theory, if you buy a home from somebody 3 to 5 years later, you should think they're going to still be in the business and you can go back to that person and buy another home. And if you don't feel like that's the case, I wouldn't use that person.
Right.
Yeah, my 2 cents.
Okay. How much of the seasonality would you take into account if you were looking to buy a home? Right? Like spring and summer, you're like, okay, competition is probably going to start to get a little heavy. Fall, winter, okay.
Incremental benefits at a certain point.
I mean, are you really even? I mean, would you if you? For you, but we're talking about like someone that's looking to maybe buy their first home or step in, sell their home.
I would say focus on your life and move when it's convenient for you, and
Just
look to buy
focus
when it's convenient for you.
Yeah,
You're never going to time the market.
utility, right?
Don't try here. Let me just give some hardcore don't do rules.
Okay.
Don't try to time the market. Okay? None of us are that talented.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to time the market. There are people who've been doing this their entire careers who time the market wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to time the market. If you buy a home and you're buying it for the long term and you're not gambling, if you get the utility of living in a property that makes you happy, that's going to trump timing the market. Don't try to time interest rates. Okay?
There you go.
Banks, people who are in the business.
Can you afford it or can you not afford it?
They tried not to do the same thing.
Right.
People who are very seasoned and specific around interest rate risk, they understand this. They still do not try to gamble on interest rates.
Right.
Do not try to time the bond and stock markets. Okay, we preach dollar cost averaging the show because guess what? That removes timing the market from the equation.
Yeah, and over a 30-year span, you won.
Yeah. Now, if you're someone like a Warren Buffett who's timing investments because he's looking at the fundamentals of underlying companies and seeing their upside, he's not gambling.
Yeah, he's not exactly. He's studied every single P&L out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're believing in companies' long-term vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's not timing the market. That's saying, I believe this company is going to do better over time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't invest and get out in a week. He invests for months, for years, and gets out after they've realized some of these goals.
He's also has enough money to sway a market.
Yeah. So don't try to look at your home as a strategic investment. And I made this mistake a lot when I was younger. Do not try to time your home in the rate environment on getting the best possible scenario for you. Just try to do what you can with the market you have.
Oh, okay.
When you're ready to buy if you can afford it.
If you can afford it. So that's a key component in it. Because what I was going to say is if that's what we're going to get into, and a nice way to wrap up the show is something that I did incorrectly that back in the day that it actually worked out in my favor. So I got very lucky. I would not recommend it for anybody else. Mm-hmm. Is the first home I purchased. I was very house poor. Right? All the income that we were making was going into the house. Because that's all we could afford. And yes, it worked out for me, right? The equity that I made in the house ended up being the down payment for my next home, right? But I would not recommend that for it was stressful, right?
It's easier to do when you don't have kids.
Yeah, we did not have kids at the time.
Yeah, it's easier to do when you don't have kids. It's easier to do when you're single than it is when you're married. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you're married, you have somebody who supports you. I guess you have aligned visions. I suppose that could work out. But there's a time and a place for those type of risks.
That could bring a lot of stress onto a relationship if you guys aren't, on the same page. Yeah, aligned. So I'd be very careful. So don't just because a bank approves you for a loan does not mean you can afford it.
Yeah, believe it or not, the approval process is much easier than people realize. Mm. And sometimes they take the hey, you're approved for this, and they don't go like, this is my payment. You go, yeah, I don't want to pay that much every single month.
Yeah,
that's my biggest problem. Look, I've got a super low mortgage payment.
When I purchased that first home, they used the liquidity that I had in my retirement account
that you could not access, by the way.
that I could not access
Yeah.
as my cash reserves in case
Mhm.
in an event there's an emergency that I needed to tap into.
Mhm.
And looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, that was wild.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, if you ever try to tap into your 401k,
I mean,
it ain't easy.
no, yeah, exactly.
You know, they're like, oh, how much you want? You want how much you want? Your own money?
What's the reason?
Yeah, you got a medical problem?
Exactly. Did you get? No, I know you're behind on your mortgage payments, but did you actually receive the foreclosure notice?
Do you have a hardship?
Yeah. What is the hardship you're
How
experiencing?
hard is your ship?
Can't touch that line.
I need you to provide me evidence of this alleged hardship,
Yeah.
so that I can consider giving you your money.
Wild, right?
This is wild stuff, man.
I know. Yeah. And there's all kinds of laws around it and reasons why they do it the way they do it.
I know it sounds sarcastic. It's not sarcastic. That's how difficult this is.
Yeah. Now look, you can get a loan against your 401k, but that's also
Even then, that's a questionable thing.
It's questionable. It's difficult. It's a whole process. It's crazy. So, but again, just because a bank approves you does not mean you can actually afford it. So I would be very careful. Don't become house poor.
Yeah, I mean,
Sucks.
easy advice. I mean, look, when I bought my first property, I was freaking
I think
out.
people get excited, man. People get excited, or not even just excited. Like where home prices are going, like existing home sales going up,
Mhm.
right? You're like, I have to.
People just want to get skin in the game. That's all it is. They just
Yeah.
want to get in the game. They're tired of being on the sidelines
Mhm.
watching.
Yeah,
They want to get in the game.
I have family members that are like, I'm not wasting another dollar on rent.
Yo, when is Weiss gonna buy a property? What's he doing?
We're calling him out by name.
Yeah, what's he doing?
I know he's got the bucks, so we can call him out because he's got bucks. That's why.
He is not poor.
Yes, he's doing well.
Why can't he? Why isn't he buying a home?
I don't know. I think he's very comfortable with his situation. He's not trying to rush anything.
Weiss, this is me talking to you. Nobody else. You've got a problem with commitment, dog.
No, he does, bro. He's good. He's good.
You cannot commit.
He's committed.
Huh?
He's committing. Yeah.
Buy a home. Plant
Yeah.
some roots.
Why though?
Huh?
He's a free bird, man. He's
Okay.
a free bird. I admire him. I admire him.
I'm gonna
As the
buy you
kids
some
say,
pearls.
as the kids say, he's him.
He is him.
He's him.
She's I. Wait, is that the way it goes?
I don't know what
I
that
don't
is. Love you, Weiss. I know you're not listening, but it's
Love
okay.
him a great deal. He doesn't listen to the show. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Their billboards are hilarious.
They're pretty good.
I
yeah.
love them.
I can't wait for them to get sued though, using people's rap lyrics.
I know they almost want it.
But y'all know I'm an attorney, right? Like, what's going on here? I cannot endorse, but I like it. But I do not endorse it.
Yeah, I saw one they posted a billboard up in Dallas because they're in Dallas and Los Angeles.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's literally said, "This is a sign." Fridays.
yeah.
I love it.
I think the problem with the name is that
Who doesn't love Fridays?
No, I get it. It just doesn't. Like, life is. You need to tell the consumer what they're getting.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And we have the same problem. A higher standard does not tell you that you're a financial literacy podcast, right?
But yeah, right. Exactly.
You know,
No, but it does insinuate.
like Chris Williamson's Modern Wisdom. He's trying to give you modern wisdom. Like, that's the name of the show.
No, the higher standard. No, they're exactly. You're you're uplifting yourself.
Yeah, but you have to. It's like the whole Fridays thing. You have to explain it.
No, but like
The consumer is stupid.
come
They
on,
want to be
man.
told, get rich with Chris and Saeed.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
like that show. That's a good show. That's good. Get rich.
I got to do the trademark now.
Yeah.
I bet you get rich is taken.
Yeah, I know. Or die trying.
50
Right?
cent.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else?
No. I appreciate you coming to the studio and watching me paint.
Oh yeah, the baseboards. That was they pop, man. They really pop.
Yeah, the semi-gloss black.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. You'd be surprised how much I bounce ideas off ChatGPT.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, why not? It's a good sounding board.
It really is.
Yeah. It's a great sounding board. It
Yeah.
makes you it's a good way to start the process, right? To think about
No,
to brainstorm.
I also feed into it the pictures after I'm done
Mm.
and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Blah,
Oh.
blah, blah.
I forgot to tell you. So my son Adam, and tonight was open house.
Dad story, of course.
Dad story, yeah.
Gotta cap the
No,
show
no,
with dad
you would
story.
appreciate this.
Oh, sure, I will.
No, trust me.
I
Trust me.
you at all.
I was thinking to myself like, do I talk about Adam again or do I not? But so he had open house tonight.
Okay.
Right, and I went to school,
Right.
and I was like, "What are you most excited to show me today?" He's like, "I don't want to tell you. I just want to show you." I'm like, "Really? Okay."
All right.
Get to his class. On his desk, he prompted that image of himself.
What?
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe we'll find a way to post it on the show because it's not an actual photo of Adam.
Adam is an engineer, plays basketball, loves math, and his family. The coolest job of 2025. Now introducing Adam. Adam is focused, caring. His favorite subjects are math and engineering. This is wild.
And that's he had to prompt AI to make that image of himself. Notice the background.
It's a stadium.
It's a stadium, sports related.
Yeah.
He did the part in his hair. Obviously, he didn't get the sides right.
Was it like a school thing where they taught him to prompt, or was he just prompting on his own?
No. They all worked on this together, and I was like, this is so cool that in third grade, it's part of the curriculum where they did this. I went to the teacher, and usually I do the whole fluff like, oh, thank you so much. My son really likes you, and he loves and he really enjoys you. No, this time I was like, can I just tell you for a second? I think that's really cool that you incorporated this, and I think it's going to be really beneficial for them long term.
Dude, I do it every single time I work on a show. I use AI every single day.
Yeah.
I use AI for checklists. I use AI for reminders. I use AI for spell check. I use AI for grammar checking. I use AI to check my tone.
Yeah.
I use AI a great deal. It has improved my efficiency monumentally.
So it was a good dad story.
It's a great dad story.
Okay. This one's acceptable.
Damn it.
Baby. Gooseneck.
All right.
You
Got a wrap.
Good night, everybody.
Goodbye. Assertive.